I wanted to share with you my sad experience I had with ART, Africa Retail Traders. But simultaneously as I share with you my experience with Africa Retail Traders, I will share with you my experience in hire purchase and also in loans. In my life, I have only taken a loan twice. The first time was to start a business transaction with my own father, Lando. Unfortunately, I regret to this day. I regret for various reasons. The first reason is that I had to spend 2 to 3 next years with almost a zero salary. Of my net income, I was getting a fifth, that is 20% of what I would have gotten, with 80% going to pay the loan. And my father just refused to. Alikatalia hiyo pesa. Just not only kukatalia, I even showed him several times my payslip that I was basically working for free. And then, as if that was not enough, it also led for him to severally write letters to my bosses, which nearly cost me my job. But that one I'll talk about later when I talk about a former police officer, a former police boss called Mr. Kieti, Raphael Alphonse Mutuku Kieti. That is the first time I ever took a loan. The reason I've not been taking loans is that with no steady income, getting a loan is a problem until much later, when people came up with these things that are called you just feel in what do you call, you just feel in your phone, and suddenly you find you have money. It happened that I reached a place when I reasoned that instead of doing a small business and my pay my rent would stagger, and those who have stayed in slums, you know that it reaches fifth of the month, you you have to pay 10% of whatever, and then from there unaendelea. If it reaches 10th, they lock your door, something like that. So I reasoned that why don't I take these soft loans, and then each end of such that less equivalent to my rent, so that when it reaches the end of the month, I just pay slowly by slowly. It reaches fifth, then I pay the month ahead, something like that. But first of all, I went to the bank uh, and talked to them. I asked them if I can take such a loan. They said it is impossible. Then one day at night, while playing around with my phone, I just feel in that because I had been assured that I'm somebody without a steady income, it is impossible to get a loan. Then I was playing around with my phone and found that I had been given, that time already I had a slightly bigger amount than the house rent. Um, I was just playing around with the phone, and then suddenly from my M-Pesa account, I found I have the money. I went to investigate in the bank the following morning. It was confirmed that I had applied at night for a quick loan, and then it had come that way. And they said that the regulation in that bank is that telephone loan, what you get is any amount that goes into that account will be deducted immediately until you complete that loan. Me, I'd thought that it was a loan like any other, whereby every month I would pay something. In 3 or 4 months, I'd have completed the loan. Said any amount going through that account. So that is the second loan that I also regret, but not as much as I regret the first one. Now, that is my story about loans. And as I've said, the only reason that I've not been taking loans is that without a steady income, mm, you can't take a serious loan. Can't take a serious loan. Uh, that is that. And then when it comes to hire purchase, uh, I would have taken a lot of things in hire purchase than what I've taken, but also not being a steady income, I could not take hire purchase. Still back to the loan, before I go to hire purchase, I would say that if I were to talk to anybody who is just starting a job for the first time from college or school, I would say two things. First, try as much as possible uh, to save for your pension, and two, to save so that when you come out of work, you have a lump sum. Then also take loans and invest other places, so that at the time when you retire, you have several incomes. First of all, you have the pension, which will come in lump sum for you to invest. Two, you'll have the monthly pension, whatever. Three, the things you have been taking, the loan you took first, and then you bought land, and maybe you started the other source of income. You'll find that by the time you retire, the loans that you have been taking, maybe you'll be getting 3 times of what you are getting. Reasoning as a police officer, if you started as a constable, by the time you retire, maybe you are an OCS. An OCS from time immemorial usually gets 3 times the net pay of a constable. So it means that you are now getting 3 times your salary because you have expanded professionally. You've expanded in professionally, such that you started as a constable, now you are an OCS. So an OCS gets the salary of 3 constables. So that is 3 times. You'll also have invested, such that from your investment, from whatever business you'll have decided, it will be to an extent that you are getting another several times. And then again, there is the lump sum you have saved. There is the lump sum that you'll be given shortly after you leave. Then there is the other lump sum that you have saved. Let's say in every salary you save something like 5%, 5%, 5% for 30 years. Uh, that is like salary for 6 years. Salary for 6 years. And if you have worked for 30 years, mostly you are paid one salary for each year. So that is 30 salaries. That is that. So you get around 50 salaries. And if you invest that one at the end of you find that you will be getting twice or even 3 times what a serving OCS is having. And what a serving OCS is having, remember the serving OCS is away from his or her own area. So, and you are operating from your house and your Oshago. You don't have to board a matatu, you don't have to buy sukuma, you don't have to do that. That one is an advice that I would give anybody who is starting a job fresh. That is now about bank. Now, hire purchase, I have undertaken 3 hire purchases, and I'll tell you all of them. I would have taken more because these things are whatever, but without a steady income, I would not. It stopped at 3. Stopped at 3. I could not take further in a further higher purchase. The worst was ART. Worst was ART. There is Argo Furnishing, which I cannot say it was bad, but the best I could say, without any fear of contradiction, is Kenya Credit Traders. But then, how did mwalimu wa historia, how did the higher purchase start in Kenya? Unless I'm mistaken, one thing I know is that higher purchase started in 1968, and I'm not so sure, but I think the MP who went to Parliament to ask for higher purchase to be was JM Karaoke. But if I get the correct information, or anybody who knows, you can comment in the comment section. But JM Karaoke or whoever that did that said that things were a bit expensive in Kenya for an ordinary worker to have. So could we have a situation where instead of somebody buying things cash, why don't we have a situation where you deposit something and then you pay slowly by slowly? Initially, I've not been on pay for long, but the intention was a company can say how many, the company would want an interest, isn't it? Because if you're to buy something worth 12,000 and you have to pay 1,000 per month, then the seller is the one who is going to, it is even better for someone to give out the 12,000 at a go, and then that is according to the seller, but the buyer will prefer every time to be paying. So it was felt that the seller should get some interest on things that uh, he or she is selling through hire purchase. That is, you hire like a taxi, it is not yours, and then purchase slowly. And the calculation here was how much does the hire purchase company need? How much does the hire purchase company need as interest? So they came up and said, if the interest is so much, then that interest is what you deposit. It is what you deposit. So if something is worth 12,000 and you have to pay in 12 months, they ask themselves, how much do they need as interest? So whatever they decide it will be the interest is what you deposit. And then the monthly installment, when you add up together, it goes that way. That was how it started. But it went out badly because I don't think they reasoned that way. Well, they came up with the new types of whatever and so on and so forth. A new type of hire purchase came. It came around mid 1980s. I told you that hire purchase started in 1968. So around 1986, 18 years later, if I'm not wrong, they started these. There is a company that was started that was called Argo Furnishers. Argo Furnishers is the first company that came up with a new system. It came up with a new system where you identify yourself, and you are given the loan without paying any deposit, And what would happen was that instead of paying the deposit, of course, the interest would be higher. And they used to communicate. I'm told Nyachai is the one who started that company. And since Nyachai was a very senior person in the government, any civil servant who took things with us, it would be deducted from the source. The advantage of this deduction from the source was that, every time you get money, I've even seen it, after spending decades without pay, I've started getting an income, a constant income through YouTube. And whenever I'm given notification what I get, I spend less than 5 days to withdraw the money. I spent less than five. But so from the time I'm told this month so many people watched your things and now you're getting this, by the time I go to withdraw, plans are so many. And remember those days you get your salary, not through the bank, not through M-Pesa, not through anything. And then you take that money and take it to ART shop. Some people would have problems. Maybe you have spent and maybe you deduct it where you are supposed to give out 1,000 shillings. You find maybe you're giving 800 or something. So with the check-off system, they gave you the advantage of you when you get the payslip, you're just told it has already been deducted. But as I said, their interest was a bit higher. Those are the first people that I took their higher purchase item. I was in Kitale one day going. I didn't, these people, they have rules, but when they see a sale, and they say it is a rule, not a law, when they see a sale, they'll not leave it. So I went to Kitale, found her. Those days we didn't have these suitcases which people use through the airport with the rollers. Found one and said, it's very good. That's you. And I said, I don't have my payslip here because you give two previous payslips and whatever. Just found it. He said, no, if you just fill in this form and whatever you'll get. 5 minutes later, I had a traveling bag, and 1987, having such a bag, you are a celeb. You are a celeb. That is the first time I took. And I took it, as I said, when I had another loan. I was still servicing the loan that I had taken where we started the business with my father, and I really suffered. But I would say if I would not have had the other loan, the other place, actually, if they would have seen my payslip, maybe they would not have even given me that thing because, as I said, the other loan was really eating into my salary. So that was the first. That is the first hire purchase I took. The second hire purchase item I took was with Kenya Credit Traders. It was with Kenya Credit Traders. I had just been transferred out of Mandera. And you see, from Mandera to Eldoret, you find that you don't have furnitures. Now, I went to the Kenya Credit Traders with an agent, with an intelligence agent whose name I'll not explain because he's the one who was there when Bishop Muge died. I'll tell you about it. Now, he took me to that shop. I looked at the safari. There was a bed, 6x6. We used to call it Kasarani. And then there was also a sofa set. So I was, do I take a sofa set or do I take a bed or anything? And I said, since I was in my secondary bachelorhood, I mean, secondary bachelorhood is that this is somebody who was married and then they separated or divorced and then gone back to the market again. So I said, since I'm as in my secondary bachelorhood, let me just take the bed since I'll not be getting visitors and whatever. Then suddenly I remembered I also need a. So we talked to the KCT, Kenya Credit Traders, where I said I was to take two items. They said, no, according to regulations of ART, no, regulations of hire purchase, is that you don't take two items. You take one, you complete, and then after you complete, you'll go and take the second one. Then this agent, my colleague who was my junior, told them that if you don't give my boss the second item, the sofa set, we are going to another hire purchase company, and he's going to be given. They said, you cannot leave the. So I was given two items, and they used to deduct twice. I would say that of the three, Kenya Credit Traders has my approval. Whether they changed later or not, I don't know, but as per that time. The third and last and the worst was the third and last and worst was the African retail traders. African retail traders. I had gone to after clearing the buying of the bed and the sofa set. I was transferred to Eldoret, to Nakuru. When I was transferred to Nakuru, I had a color TV which I bought in Mandera, 3 kilometers from Somalia. So those days with a color TV and the TV stations were only two, KTN and KBC. Because the next thing was to have a video recorder or a video player. So I went to the ART along the main road in Nakuru, found that there was a VCR, video cassette recorder, which had been repossessed, Somebody had bought it and was unable to buy. And what they did, I told you that usually the deposit, usually it was the interest to them. So when this fellow failed to pay and whatever, they just sold me that thing at the market price. A repossessed VCR, video cassette recorder. When I bought it, it had problems. Now I don't know whether that problem is to do with the previous owner, because some people, when they know you're about to take it, they mess out with the thing. But I would go there, tell them that it was having a problem, and then they said second-hand things have no guarantee. If it were something that I was buying brand new, then they could, there was whatever. But since it is a repossessed, there is no guarantee. I have to foot for it. So I went. One time it reached the end of the month, and I told them that I've taken it to the fundi, and they were following. By nature, anybody who has done any business with me, by nature, I am somebody who believes in feedback. I've even seen occasions where you buy something somewhere, when you go back, or even a fundi, you take your watch or your radio or anything to a fundi. After a week, you go back, you find he's very worried and he even wants to run away. But you're just coming to tell him that you made the thing, it is even better than it was. But they know that Kenyans, most of them, they would only come back to come and complain that the thing you repaired is not working. So when he sees you coming, he thinks that you're coming to complain. But me, complaint and compliment are the same. So I used to go there, tell them. Then one time I took it to the fundi, and it stayed in the fundi for a long time, that I had to borrow money to remove it from the fundi. And when I borrowed the money, I told them, it reached the end of the month, that I went and told them, this time I'm not going to give you the money, because the money that I would have given you, I had already borrowed somewhere. So it means that if I have to pay 12 months, I'll pay 13, but 1 month in the middle missing. They say, we understand what. And these people, when you borrow something, they must ascertain where you stay, because when they want to get it, you may not even be a resident of that town. So I had told them that I stayed in Kasarani police quarters, and I'd even given them the house number. Then I went and told them, you see, I have to rush home for the weekend. I took money to the fundi and whatever, so I'm sorry. This month I'm not going to do what? This month I'm not going to give you anything. And I said, yeah, we understand. When you come back from home, it was on a Friday. So you come back from home on Monday, come and tell us if how the Nini is performing, how the VCR is performing. I said, okay. I said, it's okay by me. Unfortunately, I'd given them information on when I'm leaving. They came. We were staying two in a house. The other fellow, the colleague whom I was staying with in the house, had a family. Had a family. So they came and found his maid. They told her, oh, inspector, alikuwa amesema hiyo video inamsumbuaga sijui nini nini. The maid said, yeah, inasumbuaga hata saa zingine. So alikwambia tutakuja kuchukua ndio tupeleke tutengeneze kwa fundi. She said, oh, hakusema, maybe alisahau. Then she gave them the VCR. Anyway, when I was coming from home, you see, Kasarani police quarters is just an estate of its own. An estate of its own. It's like a third of Madaraka Estate. It's like a third of Madaraka Estate near Nyayo Stadium. So at the gate, I got everybody telling me, hey, Paul is in it. I said, what? Because I thought maybe they were associating my going home with funerals. And I said, no, no, no. Kumbe ile you know, in 1990, having a VCR, people would know. Just like 1980s and 70s, if you have a TV, everybody will know. So with the VCR, actually, how many houses are there? There are 30 blocks. Yeah, 30 times 16. Okay, let's say 30 times 15. That is 450 houses. 450 houses. Now, out of the 450 houses, or even 500, less than 5 people had VCRs. So, ile VCR unakuwaga nayo kumbe ni ya ART. Then something, what are you mean? Said, these people came with a very big lorry and parked at the gate, written ART kwa malipo rahisi. And so we followed them to see where they were going, and they went to their house and they came back with your VCR. These people, they are very good. When you want to buy something or want to ask boda people, you go there, you are told, you just deposit, see whatever. And even house agents, you find you are very good when you are, but the time when you'll be, utapunguza kulipa, that is when you'll know that this is somebody. I think they have that talent spotting of somebody who, when you they can look at you really mean, with a devilish look and whatever, and harass you. But after they have dealt with you 5 minutes later, they come across a potential client or anything. They'll be smiling. You could think that these are people, monks from a seminary. My viewers, that is my experience with these people, especially ART. As I said, to me, I really held, and I still hold, Kenya credit traders in high esteem. Thank you.